All right, so our guest tonight, it's going to be Casey Robertson. Now, he is the founder, leader, CEO of
UCA.
UCA, and that's Utah Citizens Alarm. And it's a group. It's not a militia. It's not a far-right organization. This is a group that was built upon the events of the Provo shooting from last night's guest's brother, which his name was John Sullivan.
John Sullivan was his brother. James was on last night. If you haven't watched that show, it's an interesting one. James is a right-wing activist.
He's a patriot,
and his brother is
a nut job. I mean, an activist,
a left-wing activist.
The left wing, yes.
And his brother has been on the incident of quite a few violent actions, and he was present at the Capitol incident on the 6th. He was present at Provo. He was present. He was right there in the vicinity of all the shootings that happened. And so there's kind of some questions from James as to whether he may be a provocateur on these instances.
And Jared's putting it nicely. I mean, the guy, he's an activist for the left, and he's more than willing to watch people bleed out right in front of him with a camera phone. Now, these kind of actions create pushback from normal people in our society. And when these actions occur, normal people get together and they form groups to help push back. Now, UCA is what I would consider kind of like a city watch, but an organization for the whole state. And our guest tonight, Casey Robertson, he's in charge of running that organization. Now, this organization, of course, has taken a lot of heat from I guess what we would call the media. I call them communists. I mean, let's face it. A lot of the left, they're organized, and they want to take down anything that might prevent a socialist type revolution, and God forbid normal people get together and organize. So Casey, he organized a group of decent Utahns, and he took a lot of heat for it. He had a group on Facebook. They took it down. He's trying to keep as low key and still run his operation and do the right thing for Utah. So he'll be our guest tonight.
If you have any questions while we talk to him, just throw them in the comments. We can. He may even be up on Facebook and be able to read them and answer them. If you have any questions or concerns or even criticisms, we welcome those. There's the only way we can hone whatever we're doing is to address the criticisms. Anyways, to go back to the show last night, a lot of things came out in that show. And then we noticed today on the news that John Sullivan had been arrested. He's actually being held in our local jail, or was.
He's all over the internet right now.
He had been arrested before, questioned, and released, even though he has direct contact with violent actions multiple times. But I actually got a message today. Someone said, "Is this your guys' doing?" I don't think it had anything to do with us. We don't have that kind of reach, but I imagine John played a big part of it. He's his brother. He's in contact with the FBI quite a bit, and and local law enforcement trying to. I think what he's hoping is that John can be pulled off the streets, so he can no longer do any harm, and also so he doesn't get harmed. James didn't sound like he wanted harm to be done to his brother. It sounded like he wants him to receive the help that he needs to. Something happened, but listen to the story. James would do a much better telling than I would.
And it's a long podcast, too, but a very good one. I highly recommend it. And it leads right into the one we're about to do right now, to be honest.
It does have a lot of it. Okay, and he is here.
But real quick, let me just go through the news. We have an awesome article about Twitter. So Uganda has banned social media. They've ordered all their internet providers to block the gates of all social media so that they could have a fair election or something of that nature, right? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, Uganda. Now, I first heard about this on Tim Pool. And so Uganda banned, this is my favorite story of the week. Uganda bans all social media in advance of their elections.
To prevent interference, right?
Yeah, I guess to prevent interference. Or Uganda is, I think, kind of, Uganda's not really
they're kind of somewhere around where we are right now.
They're not known for their just elections. But what I like is after Twitter has been lashing out, after all the social medias have been lashing out at conservative voices for the last year, and then Uganda comes out and bans them. Here is what Twitter says. This is coming from the Twitter public policy tweet.
May I?
Yes.
Access to information and freedom of expression, including the public conversation on Twitter, is never more important than during democratic processes, particularly elections. That brings a tear to my eye.
I just love that Twitter, after all of their actions, all of a sudden they're kind of up in arms because a nation flexed its muscle on them. And of course, after the Trump ban, there's been kind of a lot of consternation coming out of other nations. Poland's had some questions. Poland's actually writing bills so that social media can't ban people. Germany, Angela Merkel had consternation. France had consternation. So it's become kind of a big deal. But we've got Mr. Robertson here now with UCA, and we're going to chat with him. How you doing?
Hey guys, good to be here. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
You got it.
So we kind of led into you the UCA. It's the Utah Civil Alarm. Is that correct?
Utah Citizens Alarm.
Citizens Alarm. Sorry. Yeah,
We're
Utah.
transitioning slowly to United Citizens Alarm.
Okay. Now when I searched you up on the internet machine, I kept coming across United Citizens Alarm, and I was like, okay, I'm looking for Utah. So I should have pulled that up.
So that's going to be the official webpage for the group now.
Yeah, right now it's UnitedCitizensalarm.com. That's our official. But I think if you do Utah Citizens Alarm, it forwards you to that site also.
Yeah, it kept coming up, and I was like, huh? So, how's things going?
We have been extremely busy, day in and day out, man. Lots to do. The new administration coming in has changed things for us a little bit, and so we're preparing accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
It's been nuts, man. It's been nuts.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm how could it not be, I suppose, with this new administration, there is a lot of questions that comes with it. I don't know. I kind of want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but see what they do. But so far, all the rhetoric they've come with Kamala Harris saying she's just going to write a bill to disarm everyone. And I don't, that's not going to fly. So then she's demanding that Congress brings a bill. She's operating like she's the president-elect. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to demand this within the first 100 days, which is, I don't know, that's telling. Maybe she's going to send Biden to go play in the shower with his dog and see if more than his foot can get broken next time, I guess. I don't know.
It's like they're married or something.
Yeah, it is kind of strange to hear a potential VP coming out and talking about all this stuff.
Yeah, you don't hear VPs make a lot of demands. I can't think of any. I mean, after they've been VP, of course, they come out and they say, everybody, we got to quit driving cars so I can buy my big house on beachfront property. But please, or they come out and, say, Russia did something, send all your money to me. I promise it goes to Haiti. We'll fix it. I'm just spitballing here. I've got no actual evidence of stuff.
Well, when the election happened that next day, I wasn't scared of Biden going into office. I was scared of Kamala Harris. And, Biden just seems like he's a little bit senile. I could just see, maybe them pulling him out, putting her in, and then putting Nancy Pelosi in as the VP. And, that scares me. Kamala's a socialist. I mean, she's the most far left out there that he could have picked. And that is scary for anybody that loves the Constitution, loves America, loves freedom and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. It's a scary thought. After the storming of the Capitol last week, I mean, that just gave, Pelosi and all them just ammunition against any patriot group. And, now I think every patriot group in America is probably thinking, wow, we're going to be labeled domestic terrorists now. And, they're going to come after patriot groups. That's definitely something that is on our mind. We've got a lot going on here in Utah. We're very active. We're known nationally. And right now I feel like I got a big target on my back. And, up until now it was Antifa and violent protesters that hated me. And now I'm like, is it going to be my own government that hates me and wants to take us out and dismantle us and take our guns and all that? So yeah, it's a valid concern. It's scary.
Well, what this if the push goes like it's going to go, it reminds me of the late 70s, the 80s, and the early 90s, quite frankly, where Christian conservative movements. Now, I'm not on their side, but starting in the 70s, they got pushed down. So they kind of went into hiding and radicalized themselves. And that concerns me because they're extremely effective. So, I talked about it last night, the group at Elohim City. You had the Weavers up in Idaho. They weren't radical. Randy Weaver wasn't a part of a militia. He was a ex-soldier who got out of the military, I think he was from Wisconsin, and didn't like the direction Wisconsin was heading, so he bought land, a little piece out of Ruby Ridge up in Idaho, moved up there, and then to make a long story short, the ATF set him up. There's no bones about it. They set him up, and then went in, shot his son, or killed his dog, shot his son, and then killed his wife, shot her out from under their infant. And that was the ATF just kind of trying to flex their government muscle. And then, of course, it culminated on the government side with Waco, and on the right-wing side with Oklahoma City a year later. And so, I think both sides had their big crescendo and then they kind of died down. But I'm worried we're going to find ourselves in another situation like that, where those right-wing, I don't want to call them militia groups because that's the wrong term. They were kind of right-wing separatist groups.
They want people who want to be left alone.
These ones didn't want to be left alone. They were bank robbers. They became drug traffickers.
Okay, those are criminals.
This is how they survived, because they got pushed out of society. You can't push someone out of society and expect the outcome to be well, and they became really and then of course the guys from Elohim City who were bank robbing, they were setting up ambushes for sheriff's departments and highway patrolmen and killing them. And then they culminated when a guy from there, 3 guys from there is the expectation, drove to Oklahoma City and blew a building up. And I want to see. I'm worried that the left right now, that Pelosi and the gang of idiots, the gang of heroes, will try to push laws that drive people into the dark. And then when they go into the dark, they can't make a living, can't feed their family. And then also they live inside of an echo chamber. It takes whatever side they're on and pushes it to the extreme, just like if our nation was to turn around and take anybody with a left-wing idea and push them into the dark and drive them and make it so that they can't earn a living and support their families. It'd make them exercise, pretty radical ideas too. It's not that there's one side's more attuned to it than the other. It's just that
you push a man too far.
It's the natural progression. You've got to. You can't disassociate people from society and expect a good outcome.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting points to bring up. I think people are going to have a propensity toward violence to begin with. There's radicals on both sides, without question. I denounce violence 100%. I don't think there's ever an excuse for it, to go on the attack and to say, well, we're backed into a corner. Our only option is to be violent. It's to blow up a building or go after the government. I don't agree with it. I've never understood it, and to me it's evil. You just don't do it. Our group, I think, is unique in a way because right from the beginning we've been labeled white supremacists, far right extremist militia, vigilantes, which none of that is true. I'm a fisherman, I've never been involved really politically. We're just simply citizens that don't want our cities being burned down. And that's how we started. We're law-abiding citizens. We play by the rules. We love the Constitution. We love law enforcement. We're pro-government. A lot of the right-wing extremist groups are anti-government, and they go after the government. So I think we're a little different, but regardless, we're just grouped into this. Every patriot group is a violent extremist, far right, conspiratorial, vigilante group, and that's just not us. And so that's a challenge I've had with UCA is, public image. How do we come out and do the job that we feel like we need to do to protect our communities, but also show that we aren't that. And so that's been a challenge for me. One of our rules, though, is absolutely we would never strike first. We would never engage in any sort of violence or go on the attack ever. We're strictly here to defend our families, our communities, our neighborhoods, our freedom of religion and the Constitution. So we've had to evolve quite a bit. It is a different time now because we now all of a sudden we have this target on our back, and I don't know, but I have a gut feeling that they're going to come after us. and try and shut us down.
Okay. I guess. Well, okay. To come after you and shut you down, they have to have cause. So, right up there, we got the Second Amendment flag behind us. Not only does that constitute the right to own defense measures, but it also constitutes, written in there, that you have the right to form militias. And militia, I know, has been made a bad word by whoever, the media or whatever. It's been made a no word. You know, but technically it's not. It's a defensive group. I think you'll just have to make sure that if I was you and I was going to lay out a roadmap, I would say, okay, here's what I have to do. The guys that are in the group, you want to vet them, of course. You know, have the group have dues paid that by incoming members, they have to pay an amount to have a background check done. And you want to know what their probably their criminal work history is. And then just make sure they all know you commit an illegal act and you're out. If you go out and get a DUI, you're out. You've got to wait a year and then you can reapply to come back in. If you, if you're convicted of anything, you're out. And you've just got to make sure that they understand that you need upstanding citizens in the group. You can't have anyone that dances on the margins. Don't have any of them. I mean, honestly, don't let any of them become armors, you know. Or, well, they can be armors, but where they do, you know, that's what got Randy Weaver is an ATF agent hounded him to cut a shotgun barrel down to an illegal length and hounded him for months. And finally, Randy Weaver's just like, all right, fine, whatever. Cut it down. Next thing you know, the ATF's raiding their house. And then his kid's walking the dog. Some guys jump out pointing guns at him. His kid was armed at the time, shot one of the ATF agents, and it went on from there until the FBI shows up and a sniper kills his wife. It's a tragedy on both sides. But yeah, I would. You can only control your side of it. I wouldn't shut it down though. It needs to be there.
No way. We're not going to do that. And you're spot on. And that's exactly what we've done. We have a pretty intense vetting process. The vetting application, some people just don't fill it out because they don't want to give us the information. But you know, we want a copy of your concealed carry permit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that right there is a great thing because we know that background check's been done on them. You know, we're asking them for criminal records. We're checking their social media. Anything that would remotely indicate that they're radical or kind of a wackadoodle, you know, or too far right, then that's just not a good fit for our group, you know. And we have implemented member dues also. So now it's $75 a year, which isn't much, but that's going to turn a lot of people away that don't want to put skin in the game and be active.
Yep.
And then we have, you know, we've done a really good job. I mean, before Facebook shut us down, we had 20,000 members, and I had a team of about 13 or 14 moderators going through every single comment, because anything anybody would say, even if it was just a comment that was remotely racist or violent, I mean, the opposition screenshotting that right away, and they're saying, "Oh, look what UCA is all about," you know. So we were booting members left and right, not members, but you know, people that had followed our page. And so we've done a really good job. I think we have really good discipline. We're set up in a team structure where our guys and gals that are good on the good side, we're watching out for the wackadoodles, you know, and the people that might be violent or just a little off kilter, and they're out, you know. So our track record, really, if anything did happen and they went back and looked, we have always been very careful. We don't say anything racist, nothing that would, you know, be considered violent, that we would go on the attack. We've done a great job with our mission statement, with press releases. Just we've got a good track record. So you're right. I mean, there's really nothing that anyone could come after us and get us on. However, we're seeing just the censorship, the silencing of any, conservative group. I mean, that's going on across the nation. So they're trying, big tech's trying. They're trying to silence us. They're trying to keep us from communicating with each other. And I wouldn't put it past the new administration to try and continue that, communist control of information and trying to get us to stop communicating. So we're working on it, man. We have redundancy. We've got, we're talking ham radios. We're talking several different apps. We do a lot of stuff totally off the grid now. We've got meeting points and things that we can do so that chain of communication doesn't get broken. And that's really important to us.
Good.
So I think we're doing a good job so far, but I'm still nervous. I don't know why, I'm just still nervous that
I think
all of a sudden now we are the enemies of the state.
I think if the government wants you, they're eventually going to get you. I think there's no way out of the government crosshairs if they really want you. But everything that I've seen about this group that has been smeared by the media, I think the media has taken it too far. I think they're providing false information because this group is not extremists. They have a vision. They have a mission statement, and it's practical. It's sensible. And after seeing what happened with the BLM protests and the burning of the cities, truthfully, I think like you're probably saving a lot of structural damage from occurring just by existing as a group than if you did not exist. And we should be thankful for that.
Well, I appreciate that. I do feel like we've served our community well. Nobody wants violence and protest and violent protests specifically. And since day one, since the day we formed, which was the day after John Sullivan and Jesse Taggart, went on that rampage in Provo, Utah, and blocked traffic and attacked that guy and shot him. That was the last incident of violence. Actually, there's been one other violent protest, and that was the Cottwond Heights Brawl. With that Cottonwood Heights group marching through neighborhoods on people's front lawns.
From what I understand, John was there also.
What's that?
From what I understand from James, John was there also.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. There's a few bad players. John's one of them. We responded en masse to Cottonwood Heights, and that's it. That's literally the only incident of violent protest that has happened since UCA was formed. So, yeah, I think we've been effective. I think we've accomplished our goal, which is peace. And now we've evolved into more of a neighborhood watch, emergency preparedness, training type group, which is, going to be awesome. We're going to be able to respond to any emergency that comes our way, whether it's civil unrest or natural disaster. So it feels good. I kind of feel like we've set the standard, and violent protesters just don't want to come to Utah because they know they're going to have to deal with the citizens. We're just not going to put up with it. Period. Yeah,
it got shut down real quick. Colorado had the same thing up in Fort Collins when they tried going up there, and just some guys in the neighborhood barbecuing. The whole street rose up, run them out with fists and boots. Like literally, and then the cops showed up and run him down. So no, that's good. We need to some other ways you could maybe bolster your image is start doing things that the media and the left can't. They can't spin that ugly at all. Go out and feed and clothe the homeless or something. Get a group together. I know I can get you in touch with them. But there's a group in Salt Lake that delivers food and clothing to the homeless twice a week. And maybe you guys could just join on that. Provide, 2 guys in a pickup truck to haul the stuff there. Or guys who want to ladle soup out to help them out, And make sure that they have your name, the name of the group on their lips, A
T-shirt,
posters, banners, whatever, magnetic sticker on the side of the pickup saying, you know, we want to be a part of this. And there is no left-wing media that can come out against you for that, you know.
That's right.
And that way you have to give them a whiplash. If they want to come out one day and show and make sure the media shows up and sees you guys doing it. You know, put out a press release. And if they want to talk bad about you a week later, they've got to get whiplash to do it. Go ahead, but your neck's going to hurt, you know?
Yeah. No, it's a great point, and you're hitting all the things. And happy to say, proud to say, we probably failed by not getting the media there, taking many pictures. But the last 3 events we attended in Salt Lake, we also doubled it up as a community service effort. We've done clothing drives and food drives, both for homeless in Salt Lake. So that is a goal. It's like, hey, if we're going to go out, we might as well serve at the same time. It's a great opportunity for us to do that. We're all about it.
You're already there. The logistics is already in place. You just got to add some extra stuff to it.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
So, you know what? I want to talk about what's going on this weekend. I know hospitals are starting to ask employees if they want to stay overtime and help out because they're expecting mass casualties or whatnot at the Capitol building.
Ours or
at ours.
Is there something going on at our Capitol building?
So nationwide, apparently there's a right-wing rise or revolution that's supposed to take place, and I don't think it's going to happen, but they are talking it up.
That sounds like a plant to me. If you're on the right, if you're a conservative, stay home.
Now, did UCA have any plans to go to the Capitol building this weekend?
Absolutely not. No. And Governor Cox even declared a state of emergency this week. Did you see that today?
We did not.
Yeah, state of emergency. We've got National Guard on standby.
Great.
Every law enforcement officer has to be up there this weekend.
I want to see all of them show up and you know, feel a calm breeze. And then if anyone's causing trouble, make it so that it's the other side causing trouble. Don't let it be anyone from the conservative, the Republican, any Patriots, any of that. Just, you know, stay home. Watch it on
exactly
TV.
What we're doing. And we're in touch with a lot of the other Patriot groups around here. Proud Boys. There's a Polynesian groups. We're all staying home. There is one group, the Boogaloo Boys, that have gotten a permit, and they're going to be down there. And I think that's kind of a nationwide thing in their organization. They're a little bit extreme, anti-government, from what I understand. Let them go cause the problems. But, you know, and I've been asked by the press, you know, we've talked to Salt Lake PD, we've talked to the Highway Patrol, who does all the security at the Capitol. And we said, look, we're staying home. It's not going to be us. I'm not interested in going down there. And I mean, personally, it would be fun to walk around and just watch and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I can watch that on the news. But yeah, we're not going to go. It's ridiculous to go down there this weekend.
Yeah, if I was you guys, I would do a virtual like movie watching / barbecue. Everyone has a barbecue. Barbecue your favorite food. We're gonna kick on the computers and turn on the video chat, whatever, and we're gonna watch a movie together, something funny, and sit back, laugh, enjoy the day. You know, or gather people in groups, stay at home, you know. And then if anything does kick off, just, you know, make sure your neighborhood's good.
That's right.
I think the Capitol pays to make sure it's good, so let it, you know, manage itself.
Oh yeah, law enforcement will be able to handle any violence, I think, or anything that goes on, and that's another thing we kind of talk about. You know, we do believe in our law enforcement. You know, we do believe they're fully capable of handling the job. You know, I believe the Portland Police Department is fully capable of handling the job that needs to be done up there. The problem is the politicians.
What do you think, Wheeler's letting them down?
He's an embarrassment to the entire country.
Did you hear that ATF, or not ATF, Antifa attacked him last week?
They hate him.
I
just don't understand it. Yeah.
I watched that video, God, 8 times. Just, yeah, it was beautiful. It was, well, okay. all the Democrats right now, all of them, hands down. You've got the goblin up in Chicago. You've got the nipple-pierced fucking creep in New York. All of them have come out and said, we got to get back to work now. We can't keep shutting down. What, now that the shutdowns don't help you politically, you're going to turn it back on?
We knew that was coming.
If you are in an inner city and you still listen to these saps, you are their patsies. You are their tools. They used you for a tool for their political ends. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's I just can't believe it. You know, I'd like to get a meeting with Mayor Mendenhall up there because she's pretty far left. Salt Lake votes Democrat pretty much down the board, which is a shame. But, you know, we have sent letters to her, and I basically called her out in a letter. I don't know if she read it or not, but I said, look, if violence comes to Salt Lake City again, the citizens of Utah expect you to allow law enforcement to do their job and to squash it immediately and with overwhelming force. If you won't allow law enforcement to do their job, then the citizens of Utah will be forced to come up and take care of the job ourselves. And then if there's blood in the streets, it's on her hands. You know, I think the citizens need to hold their politicians accountable. And I don't know what is going on in Portland. It pisses me off. I want to go down there and go through the neighborhoods and go, where are the patriots in this town? Why are you sitting there waiting for the mayor to do something about it? They're not going to do anything about it. It's the citizens, man, that have to step up and hold them accountable. Granola
makes your defensive muscles weak. So,
I mean, they voted her in. They voted him in. You know, they're a liberal.
They
town.
voted him in
Seattle's
again.
The
and only way he won was the two people against him split the far left vote. He was the right wing candidate in this last race.
So it could have been worse.
Well, he's doing a horrible job.
Both the people that ran against him were Antifa members.
Dear God.
I don't understand it. You got law enforcement quitting. You know, they're leaving in mass. The DA won't prosecute these people. They're just in this endless loop of violence, and they're just too stupid to take care of it. All they got to do is tell the cops, go in there and take care of it. That's all they'd have to say. You know the cops want to.
I think the best thing we can do is just keep supporting the people. You know, hey, if you guys want to move, you know. This isn't a good place to live. The Mormons are too crazy, but you can go to Colorado. Idaho is just right there. Nevada, I mean, you know, Nevada has awesome vistas and gambling.
They speak Spanish.
Yeah, you can leave. I want to see them leave. I mean, right now when they do the census, I heard New York stands to lose 2 congressmen. And California stands to lose 3 from all the numbers of people they've lost. And one of the seats in New York that stands to be lost is AOC's seat. So keep going.
I love that.
Keep your radical craziness on display, please. You know, wear it proud and loud. I'll just sit back here in Tooele where, I mean, we don't have to witness any of that.
Thank goodness. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
We don't want any of that here in Utah.
No, we don't. Where are you located at?
Me personally, I'm in Mapleton.
Okay.
Yeah. Quiet down here.
Yep.
Just like Tooele.
Those little mid-sized cities or mid-sized towns, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You know,
I grew up in Provo. My dad was a police officer there in Provo, and so that's really, you know, when I saw that shooting, I'm like, that's my hometown, man. This is where I grew up. You know, it's not going to happen here. That was really the catalyst, you know, because I had watched the riots in Salt Lake in May, and was furious and just like dumbfounded. And you know, cops did a pretty good job. I guess it lasted a day or two, but yeah, they come to my hometown. That was when I just said it's not going to happen. I had to do something.
Yeah, I think the best part about Salt Lake was they actually went after and prosecuted people.
Yeah.
I think that's where it honestly counts. You know, they burn their energy up. You defend what you can defend, but then afterwards you round them up, you prosecute them, you put a financial or time constraint on them and let them feel that.
Yeah, they did do a good job of that. And then also there was another ruling where they attacked and went after the DA's office, remember, and painted it all up and smashed all the windows. Same thing. They just kind of let them do their thing.
Yep.
They called it a riot. The crowd dispersed. In the weeks to come, they went around and they just swept them all up and charged them, which was fantastic.
I think they got a lawyer and a couple teachers out of that too, didn't they?
I think so. Yeah, there was one of the old politicians too was donating to the kitchens.
Kitchen, yeah, Mr. Kitchen.
He was donating money to the paint fund for the vandalism.
Well, and that's where you charge him. You say, hey, there's no jail time on this, but you're being subpoenaed. You're going to show up in court. You're going to explain to us what you knew and when you knew it.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad image enough. I mean, like just the legal charges compared to the image. If that guy gets reelected, then you know that area of Salt Lake City is just so extreme they're gone.
Well, the difference between the right and the left literally lies in your cities. Because you've got right-wing Democrats, they live out in the country. You know, but the left live in the cities, just like your left-wing Republicans. They're centered in those larger cities. Maybe the Republicans are more in the suburbs, but they come into more positive contact with the government, such as welfare offices and outreach for homeless and all that. They come into more contact, which is they start feeling that, oh, I can give up my need to survive because I live in this area of abundance, where people out in the country have to be a little more self-reliant. And that's where the right wing, the conservative, the more self-reliant people come from. And who knows? I mean, it's interesting, this COVID time where a lot of people have been moving. There's been a lot of dislocation from the cities outside and out to the country. And I'm wondering if we look at it in 10 years, that may politically change the map of the United States if we can make it 10 years, you know. I mean, we've got at least, 3 months of Biden, and then we get Kamala in there. And
is that your estimate? 3 months? Because
we should. I keep saying we need to start a Deadpool. We need to start. I think 3 months. He's like a cockroach. He's going to be hard to take down. There's going to be a few attempts. She's going to trip him as he goes down the stairs.
I give him 45 days.
She's gonna, she's got a whole bunch of stuff. And the page that has to change his diapers probably praying it's quicker than that, because it's a lot of diaper changing.
So for UCA's future, is there anything political in the future in terms of like maybe running a candidate or trying to petition the politicians in Salt Lake City, in the Capitol building? Is there an actual political wing to the UCA?
There is. It's a great question. It's kind of delicate because there's a balance. When we've been out on the streets, we have a strict rule that we don't wave Trump flags. We're not there to support either Biden or Trump. We are simply neutral citizens there to protect. And that's one thing I think we've done really well and really smart, because they can't say that we're, Trump fans or whatever. However, we do want to be very engaged politically in the political process, in the voting, getting in the proper candidates, passing bills. We actually have Senator Hinkins working on a bill that we introduced, or that we brought to him, and he decided to sponsor that. And it's basically very similar to the one that Florida passed, and it's all about heavy prosecution for rioters and protecting law enforcement officers and doing their job. It's pretty detailed. So we do have a political committee. We've got several members that are very engaged in politics right now, and Republican side of things mostly. The one thing that's kind of hit me is, a lot of people don't understand how important the city council votes are. because the city council are the ones that basically run the police departments, right? They tell them what they can and cannot do. And we want to make sure that the public is informed and educated on the candidates so that we can, and also just encourage them to vote, because, there are some areas where there's just nobody voting, or they'll just go, oh, Democrat, or Republican, but they're not really looking at where they stand on these issues, which is super important to us. So this political committee is going to be part of it. I've kind of always had this vision of a page on our website that's just a map. You can click on it, click on your county or your city, and find out who is in office, find out where they stand on these issues, and just start educating people. And especially when the votes come around, I think Salt Lake County this year has districts 1, 3, 5, and 7 that are up for election. And so we want to make sure, and Salt Lake, could be a lost cause, I don't know, but, we'll do our part to educate people on that. And, we also just want to hold politicians accountable and put pressure on them. And the more members that we have that are engaged and very vocal, then the better, and also if we are targeted as a group, or if we feel like we're being labeled wrongly, then, we want to take our grievances to our politicians, which is our right as citizens. We're supposed to do that. Yeah. And say, hey, this isn't going on. What are you going to do for your constituents to stand up for us and help us out here? So I think there's a lot of things we can do to be involved. It's going to be a big part of who we are. And I think it's really important because people just are ignorant, I think, to what's going on, especially when it comes to voting. So I'm looking forward to being more involved in that for sure. And we would love some UCA members to run for city offices, city seats, and maybe even more. I have a guy that is thinking about running for mayor in his area. So I love it, man, especially if it's all about peace and keeping these rioters at bay and letting police officers do their job and prosecuting heavily. All about it.
Well, on that politician map, we'll get you in touch with Eric Gumbrecht. He runs the Utah Election Central. And if anything, he can either add more emphasis on your area, or you can link right to the page he has. But he has a good map of who everyone is that's running. The map is bipartisan. He doesn't add any. He just lays out who they are, what they're running on, who they're running against, how do they compare, just things like that.
He's got a great operation, and he's always looking for volunteers. If UCA could contribute, I'm sure he'd be more than welcome.
If you've got a guy down there who wants to get involved in forming kind of a web page system with him and helping him out, I'm sure he'd love to have the help and love to have this spread out, because he lives here locally. So when we have elections locally, he's able to go get involved in those, and then his page, Tooele and the county, benefits from that. And if he could get a guy that's in his group in all the districts, all the towns and all the cities, to go in and really make that page a formidable tool for elections, would be great.
Hey man, that's great news to hear that something like that already exists. Why reinvent the wheel? So yeah, hook me up with them.
Will do.
That's something we want to do with a lot of groups. I mean, we were talking tonight about the Citizens Emergency Response Team program, or the CERT program. Those people that are already involved and getting trained up in those areas, they're perfect for our group, and we all have the same goal. And so that's something we were talking about tonight, just it's totally separate from what we're talking about here, but just going around and connecting with other groups, other like-minded groups, other like-minded people like Eric that you're talking about here, and joining forces, because we got to stick together. We all have to stick together. We all have to be in communication with each other, because if that big earthquake hits, or if civil unrest goes crazy or whatever happens, there's talk of civil war, which I pray would never happen. But man, you hear that term over and over and over lately.
It's getting scary, isn't it?
It's getting scary, but we all need to stick together, work together, be ready, be prepared as much as possible, fortify, train, strengthen. That's what UCA is all about. I think it's a universal feeling that we all need to be doing that right now.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So we're gonna add a link to your website. Obviously, I'm gonna flash your website up on screen right now.
Let's talk about recruitment. I mean, like, if somebody out there is interested in joining or supporting the organization, an organization that helps support the freedoms and safety of Utah, which I think is a very noble cause, how does one go about doing that?
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. We're definitely in recruiting mode. I mean, this year we're recruiting and training. And we've got some amazing benefits to our members as far as discounted trainings. You can get involved in medical communications, the political side of things, the intel side of things, and also defensive handgun type trainings, self-defense, emergency preparedness, neighborhood watch. There's just so many ways for our members to get involved and serve. And now that we're off social media, our recruiting efforts are all grassroots, man. It's stuff like this. It's going to be going down to communities and meeting with people. But we want, one of our unofficial mottos in UCA is don't talk shit, do shit. We want people that want to do stuff and actually get involved. The members that we've had that have kind of fallen out of the groups are maybe people that are just kind of want to sit on the sidelines and watch or hide in their basement. We want anyone that is ready to stand up and do something and get involved and learn and prepare. We'd love to have them in our group. It's very simple. All they got to do is go to the website, click the join button. All the details are there. It goes through our process of, who needs to be vetted. Do you need to be vetted? And then if you decide you do need to be vetted, we've got the forms right there. You fill those out. Right now we're on about a 3 or 4 day wait to get vetted. It's not too bad because we just got caught up. We had a pretty good influx right at the beginning of the year. Once you get vetted, we send you the membership agreement and you can pay your dues, and then we put you into our group. And when you get into the group, right now we're operating on the Telegram app. We have all of our different committees, all of our different departments. We've got, the comms, we've got intel, we've got the medical, we've got the political. You get in all the groups, you get to know your neighbors. Right now we're split up into 8 or 9 divisions across Utah. In fact, we have a division in Tooele, and we have a division leader there. And so people out in your area can get involved, and then we throw them into the Tooele group. And now you're able to start communicating with people in your neighborhood and your community. And my goal has always been to let each community take care of their own. And that's why we formed it this way, split up into divisions. If you live in Tooele, you get to join the Tooele group, you get to know your neighbors that are in there, and you get to serve, and protect your own community. I think that's important. So
now, as far as the Tooele group, can you give out the name of whoever's kind of over it, or is that something you'd rather not give out?
Let's just say his name is Reed, and he's a great guy, and he's very involved, been very involved in UCA since the beginning. You'd be in great hands out there. And, the Tooele group is pretty small, to be honest with you. We don't have a ton of members. We've had some members that have kind of sat and watched that haven't been really involved. And so, I think this is a great opportunity for the Tooele Valley, even Grantsville, anyone out in that area that really wants to get involved and be involved in protecting their state. Now's the time. There's no more fence sitting. I think when I started the group, because of what happened with John Sullivan and the shooting, everyone saw that, and my timing was perfect. That was just a catalyst, and 20,000 people in Utah were like, yes, we want this. I think this election and what's going on politically right now is another one of those catalysts. This is not a time for any of us to be sitting around watching things on TV and hoping the government's going to take care of us. I mean, you either sit around and do nothing or you get involved. and it's time for people to get involved. So I would encourage all the listeners here, whether you like UCA and want to join us, or you want to go join CERT, or you want to get involved politically, do something. Get off your butts, cancel your Netflix membership, and, serve your community. Now's the time. Utah could be the model for the entire nation on preparedness and, readiness. I think we need to get there. So I hope we see a big influx from your area, man, in the next week or two. That'd be great.
Yeah. We'll definitely advertise it. We'll put a link to your page in the show notes. And so if anyone has any questions, and then we'll, of course, advertise the website openly on our page.
And just to reiterate on that, like last time BLM came out here to do their protest, there were a lot of patriots that came out, I believe, from associated with UCA, and they were there at the park where they all gathered, and they didn't do anything violent to the BLM movement, but the BLM movement also didn't do anything violent to our city. And these kind of opposite reaction, these type of organizations that respond to these protests, if we can fund them a little bit, that it's worth the investment. It's worth the investment to have people who can come out to make sure our parks aren't vandalized or buildings aren't Molotov cocktailed. It's worth it, because the police, there's only so many of them. And the protests, they're well organized, they're well funded, and they can amass in large numbers. And, you got people like John Sullivan out there who think they're anti-superhuman superheroes who can destroy the world at will. These type of groups are what we have to protect us from basic barbarism. If it comes down to the fact that you have to separate with a few dollars to help fund these types of groups, it's well worth it. I mean, we're usually, most of us here in Utah, we're given 10% to our religious organizations for our spiritual side. Let's not forget the security that we have to provide our families so that we can have a civilized society. And let's face it, that comes down to resources. We need resources in order to stay in the game and keep the walls maintained. Otherwise, we're going to get overrun, and we don't want that. And so I just want to put that out there to Tooele. If we can support groups like this, please do. This is a worthy cause. It's a cause that protects our family and our societies and our way of life. And I'm off my soapbox here.
Well, I just want to, if I could just add that, I know you guys may want to wrap it up, but for the record, we believe in the First and the Second Amendment right. The right that BLM or any other group has to peacefully protest is in the Constitution. We love it. We support it 100%. I don't personally like the Black Lives Matter organization. I think they're anti-American and anti-family, and they're a Marxist. They've come out and said it. They're a Marxist socialist organization. I don't like that, but it doesn't mean that they don't have the right to peacefully assemble and speak their mind. We have a right to carry our weapons and to show up if we want. But the one thing that, we've been accused of is trying to silence the Black voice or trying to intimidate people out of peacefully protesting. And that's not our goal. Mm-hmm. And so, I think we do need to remember that, we have a right to assemble and peacefully protest. So do they. And it's part of what makes our country great. Our message is simply no violence. You're not going to burn our cities down. You're not going to attack our cops. You're not going to attack our neighborhoods and our citizens. And if it does happen, you're going to answer to some pretty pissed off citizens. And so I just want to make that clear. Let them peacefully protest. Absolutely, we will not allow violence.
Yeah, the protest we had out here, what it was, a group of not anti-protesters even. And granted, some of them may have been, but the overall, they just went and sat around the park that was the destination of the march and made sure that no damage came. They didn't tear down a statue or anything.
Yep.
granted, we've had Jeff on the show a few times who was on the other side. He kind of felt like that was the right side shutting down a protest, and it's been tough, but I've tried to express to him that they didn't shut you down. They didn't stop you from, unless your protest was to tear down that statue or, I don't know, tromp up the grass, whatever. They didn't stop you. You still got to carry on with your full route. And granted, both the BLM side out here acted honorably as well. They published their route. They stuck to it. I guess some words were exchanged between the two groups, but for the most part, everything was amenable.
Yeah. Well, and things happen on both sides. I mean, I was up at the Capitol last week on Wednesday. We were at the U.S. Capitol. There was a large Trump gathering. I was speaking at the event, so we came just to kind of provide security, watch out for the speakers, things like that. But, we're doing our thing, and who was out there circling around and infiltrating in and taking pictures and spewing some hatred was Antifa, and also some Black Lives Matter people showed up to counter protest, So they're doing the same thing. They can't expect citizens to not come and show up, and that's your right too, to go, assemble and show. So it's a delicate balance, right? We want to do the right thing. We want to protect our communities, but we also want to allow people to exercise their First Amendment rights. So,
yes, it is.
We're doing a good job. I'm proud of the citizens at Tooele for doing that. I really am. I'm just showing them. And the other thing is, BLM has a horrible track record. They're the ones out there burning cities down. Of course, when they come to your little town, you're going to go, hey, these are potentially violent people that have a track record of that for the last year. So, yeah, we're going to go out there and make sure it doesn't happen. So they can't, say, well, we're these innocent victims, and we're being targeted. No, you have a track record. You belong to an anti-American violent organization. I'm sorry. So you better expect that people are going to show up, and I hope they continue to.
Right. And again, these groups are reactionary. They're not provocateur. They're not initiating. They're reactionary.
That's right.
When you burn a city down and then you come over to our place and say, hey, we're going to be here on Thursday, guess what? Hey, I'm going to be there to make sure you don't burn down my house.
Yeah.
It's a biological instinct to want to protect your family and society.
Protect your neighborhood.
That's right. I wish we saw more of it across the country. I wish they were doing it in Portland.
Well, the problem is they're outnumbered there, and they truly believe that they live in a nation that's fascist and evil, so they operate like that, and so that's why you can't have patriots show up there. They're out of the gate outnumbered. I mean, you could gather all the patriots in Portland, and it'd be 1/10 of 1% of the city.
Yeah.
So what can they do? They say, all right, I'm gonna. Well, honestly, probably most of them go on Zillow and start shopping for new houses, and then they go on Indeed and look for a new job, and they leave.
So you're saying patriots increase the property value?
Well, you know what? That's probably a good point. Unless people are out trying to buy land with ashes on it. If they're looking for land with ashes, then Antifa increases the property value.
Yeah.
But if they want to buy a structure, obviously the Patriots are the way to go. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to close with? Anything you want to leave the show with?
Just appreciate you guys having me. Definitely, I'm honored to do it. Just again, I just want to say to your audience, let's stand up. It's time to stand up and get involved in whatever area you're good at. Whether you're an old lady or a young buck, there's a job for all of us to do, and there is a way for every single person to get involved. And also talk to your neighbors, spread the word, encourage people to come check us out. the stronger UCA gets, the stronger our state gets. So we appreciate anybody you can send our way, and we look forward to working with you.
Well, the pleasure's ours. And anytime you need to get your voice out and we can help, just shoot us a message. We'll put you on anytime. Open door.
Absolutely.
Yeah, open door. And we'll look into it, find out who's in charge here, make sure we advertise the website, any contact information and everything else. Let people draw people into you that are looking for a way they can give back, even if it's just to go check it out or whatever else. We'll give them that opportunity.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, guys.
All
appreciate
right.
you having me on. Thank you.
Anytime.
Good work.
Seriously. Open door.
Awesome.
All right. You have a wonderful night, everyone. Go and check out the United Citizen Alarm. Is that correct?
United Citizens Alarm.
United Citizens Alarm. Go check it out. See if it's something you like. And it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, as long as you like to see your city remain a safe place in times of struggle and strife. Go and check it out. I think it'd be good if we could get a lot of Democrats to get involved with this.
Absolutely, anyone's welcome. And we have an open door policy. Any race, any religion, any sexual orientation, it's United Citizens. It's not United White Citizens. It's anyone, and a citizen is anyone in our state that loves peace and security. So
yep.
We are very open and welcoming to all types of people.
Yep, and doesn't sound like they care political affiliation. If you whatever it is, as long as you're you must be an upstanding citizen.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. That's it. All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks,
anytime.
guys.
Reach out. We're here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.